All right, now that we're recording, let's get started with the public hearing for the VCDP grant application for the IHM school at Lincoln Place.
Do you want me to dive in? This is Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, yeah. Talk to us about it.
Okay, so I'm going to present this as if for those who have never heard about this project before. So I know a number of people on the line are familiar with it over the last couple of years, but I'll be giving you updates in my narrative. So the Housing Trust of Rutland County, which is a local nonprofit that does affordable housing development and property management, has proposed a permanent supportive housing project to be known as Lincoln Place at the former Immaculate Heart of Mary School, about 3 blocks up West Street from downtown. We plan to renovate the school into 19 apartments, of which 12 would be micros and 7 would be one-bedroom apartments. And we plan to create these units as permanent affordable housing. So it would be long-term leases. It's not temporary housing of any kind. But half of the units would be leased to people who are currently experiencing homelessness and who are currently on the Homeless Prevention Center's Coordinated Entry Master List. The remaining units would be leased to individuals or couples, so it's intended for adult households seeking subsidized housing that is safe and decent and in close proximity to services, shopping, and jobs. There will be on-site laundry and community gathering spaces, as well as one office and a conference room for service providers who will be working 40 hours a week on site to meet with residents. As you may know, the school, which is located at 10 Lincoln Avenue in Rutland City, was originally built in 1957 as a K-8 Catholic school. It's an 18,000 square foot building that was operated as a school until the mid-70s and has more recently served the community as a privately run preschool until 2018. And the IHM Parish has held religious classes and Sunday school in the building as well up until about 2018. The Housing Trust is teaming up with Rutland Mental Health Services to provide case management on site 40 hours a week, as well as clinical and substance abuse treatment services, which would be available to residents as part of this permanent supportive housing model. The Homeless Prevention Center will participate through referrals and program design, and we have been awarded 19 project-based Section 8 subsidies by the Rutland Housing Authority. And in earlier this year, we entered into a memorandum of understanding with all 3 of those organizations to move forward with this permanent housing service model, which we hope will be up and running in 2021. We're planning to do interior renovations to create the 19 units, and we will also have a half-court gym, and the stage and commercial kitchen will be left in place for the residents' use, as well as a community gathering space, a resident lounge, if you will, on each floor. Because it's a historic building, we will be doing historic preservation as part of our project, and maintaining some of the significant interior components will be a priority. We're going to be upgrading all of the services, including new water and sewer services, electrical services, the mechanical and electrical systems, replacing the roof, and a significant amount of site work as well. We'll be doing this as an energy efficiency project as well, with a very hefty what we call thermal envelope of insulation to keep it low cost for heating and operation and comfortable for the folks living there. And it will include LED lighting, replacement of windows, doors, and so on. The Housing Trust is acting as the sponsor and developer, and we will serve as the property manager upon the project's completion. So we would be the ones to do the renting to the folks that would be living there. And we would work closely with the Rutland Housing Authority on the Section 8 component, and certainly with our service provider partners for the services that will be happening and the needs of the folks who are living there. So as a permanent supportive housing model, what does that mean? That means that it's long-term housing. We would offer everybody living there a 1-year lease with renewal opportunity if the lease is adhered to. It is affordable, so the folks living there, regardless of their income, will pay 30% of their income, which is the federal definition of affordable. And it will have services available on site, but they're not required as part of living there. So somebody living there can choose to access those services, and those services will continually be offered, but it is not a requirement. It is not a condition of their lease that they participate in services. The project currently has, it's a $6 million project at this time, and we currently have $5.5 million committed. This is our last piece. We are moving forward. We've gone through a competitive bidding process, and we've hired we've engaged with a construction management company, Nagley & Chase, and we are working on the drawings necessary to submit our permit to both this, the zoning permit to the city and the Act 250 permit to the Act 250 Commission. It is the project does comply with the zoning in the city, so it meets all of the requirements of the zoning. I think that's the gist of it. We're applying. We're fine-tuning, finalizing our budget for this application, which will be finalized by the end of this week. At this time, we just got a cost estimate back, and we have learned that there's about $250,000 worth of asbestos abatement, which is higher than we were anticipating. And so we have noticed the application for up to $750,000, and we will be applying. We will finalize that number this week, and we'll apply for up to that amount. I'm not sure exactly what it is at this time. It may need to be in the $500,000 to $700,000 range. So I'm more than happy to take questions.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Do we have anyone here from the public who wishes to ask questions or speak to this matter?
Yes, good evening. This is Kevin Loso. I'm with the Rutland Housing Authority, and I just wanted to say that this is a much-needed project here in the Rutland region, and that the Rutland Housing Authority not only endorses the project, but stands ready to assist the Housing Trust in every way to ensure a success. As Elizabeth mentioned, we have committed 19 very scarce Section 8 project-based vouchers to this project, and that is because the Housing Authority sees this as a real need and wants to ensure that the apartments are affordable to folks who would not otherwise be able to afford units of this quality. So thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you, Kevin. I'd like to just, you triggered for me that I didn't speak to the need, and I did just today receive this information from Angus Cheney, who's the director of the Homeless Prevention Center. At the end of June 30, there were 132 households on the coordinated entry list, and that encompassed 183 people. So that's just people in Rutland County who are seeking services because they're homeless. Of the 183, 12 are considered chronic, and 59 people are considered needing long-term assistance. So that's a total of just over 70 people in our community that this summer have needed the kind of housing that this project is designed to offer. And again, 10 of the 19 units would be designated to support these folks, and the other 9 would be available to our normal population.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Kevin. Do we have anyone else from the public who wishes to comment or speak to this?
I have one other piece of information to add since I'm not hearing anybody, and that is about timeline. And we're applying this week, and the decision or the presentation would be made the first week of November, so we're hoping for a decision by Thanksgiving. We have our contract with the parish is until February, so we're hoping to actually purchase before the end of the calendar year, if possible, and get it into construction this coming winter. But we would imagine that purchase would happen in the December to January range, and then go straight into construction, and it would come online in the fall of 2021.
Thank you, Elizabeth. One last call for any questions, feedback from the public. I'm hearing and seeing none, so I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing, if you so choose.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion. Has been seconded to close the public hearing. Would all those in favor please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. We'll stand down for the next 4 minutes. Thank you.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right, thank you. Now, if you all would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, you can look behind me as there's a flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty, justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome. First up, get started with the minutes of the previous meeting, August 17th, 2020.
I'll move to approve. I'll second.
We have a motion to approve, and it has been seconded. Are there any corrections? Alderman Clifford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I talked to Henry about this too under the minutes for the HR committee on the second motion. I believe I voted yes for that, and Alderman DuPois voted no. But I did discuss that with Henry about that.
Thank you, Alderman Clifford. Are there any other corrections to the minutes?
I have a little one. Under communications from the mayor, the grant is a $350,000 Northern Borders grant, I believe, not Northern Boards grant. Minor, but
Thank you, Alderman Mattis. Are there any other corrections to the Sure. Seeing none. All those in favor of approval of the previous meeting's minutes with the corrections, please indicate by aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We are on to outside the rail. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to address the board on matters not on the agenda?
My name is Norman Cohen. I don't know whether this matter is on the agenda or not. If it is, stop me and I'll wait my turn. I live at 8 Barleyfield in Rutland. I'm a retired lawyer, as some of you may know, and I've lived in the area since 1969. I would like to just comment on the bias issue that was raised and discussed at your August 17th meeting. Addressing implicit bias or perhaps unconscious bias has become a very widespread topic these days. And as you know, both the city of Rutland and its police force and the state police are addressing it. Not surprisingly, in order to keep your license to practice law, you are now required to take a course every 2 years on bias. And some of the suggested courses are interesting, I think. The role of diversity and inclusion, how to recognize and manage unconscious bias in your legal practice, an enlightened approach to elimination of bias in the legal profession. This is just for the lawyers who have to do this as part of their continuing education requirement, which is ongoing as long as you're practicing law. I would not be surprised if court staffs were in pretty soon time were given bias training for the same purposes. I think that not only is it an appropriate thing to do from my point of view, but I think it has economic impact. We're trying to get people to come here, employers to come here, small factories to come here and relocate. And I suspect now if we're successful, any company that we get to relocate to Rutland or the surrounding area is going to have people of color in management. It's an everyday occurrence where the populations are much more diverse than ours. And I think if you adopt this bias education that was discussed at the August 17th meeting, you'll send a very positive sign to future employers who will have one less thing to think about when they relocate their workforce. When I think about these issues, because I'm a product of the 60s, I often think about the late President Kennedy's 1963 Civil Rights speech. And I think it has a lot of meaning now. And there's just a couple words I'd like to mention to you. He said, and I quote, "If an American, because his skin is dark, cannot enjoy the full and free life which all of us want, then who among us would be content to have the color of his skin changed and stand in his place? Who among us would then be content with the counsels of patience and delay?" Now, the specific issues he was addressing in this 18-minute speech were integrated schools, specifically the University of Alabama, eating at restaurants, people of color being able to eat at public restaurants, and voting rights. I think the answer to the question in 1963 and the answer to the question today are the same. None of us would want the color of our skin changed. To me, that makes bias training a necessary and likely ongoing public obligation. And I encourage you, urge you, plead with you to please meet it. Thank you. I just want to add one other thing, that I am a member of the NAACP of Rutland, but I am speaking for myself, not for the NAACP, which has not seen any of these remarks. Mr. President, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen.
You're welcome.
Are there other members of the public who wish to address the board on matters not on the agenda? I am hearing and seeing none. So we are moving on from outside the rail to communications from the mayor. Mayor Allaire.
So good evening, everyone. I just had two quick things I want to bring to your attention tonight. One is tomorrow morning at 8:30, we are holding a department head meeting. That in itself isn't newsworthy, but what we're going to, our only agenda item is to talk about protocols and policies with regard to reopening City Hall to the public. We had a discussion about it internally with a couple of the department heads on Friday. I became aware very quickly that as much as I'd like to, with the recommendation of a couple of department heads, get the building opened up quickly, we need to put in place safety protocols, and because of COVID, obviously, and make sure that we are providing safety for not only our employees, but for the public also. So we're going to have a discussion about that tomorrow morning, and hope we can put together a schedule where we can get the building open to the public. It seems as though the time has come that we can do it safely. There's a number of the city halls, town halls around the state that are beginning to open. Some have opened, others are open part-time, but I think the time has come to have that discussion here in the city. So I hope to have some information. And the second thing is, I just wanted to send out a thank you to everyone, the folks who have responded to our request for names for the vacancy on the police commission. There was a note in the paper on Saturday, and we've had some response to that. And I wanted to thank those who have responded. I've gotten 3 names just in the last day or two, and 3 very responsible and qualified people who are now expressing interest. And Sam Garuso, thank you very much for helping out with one of those names. And I've had a chance to talk with a couple of those people, and we'll continue in the next day or so. So hope to have a name for you at the next meeting. So that's the 2 things I have tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're all in this together.
We are all in this together.
Thank you, Mayor Lair. Alderman DePoy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to applaud the mayor's efforts in getting City Hall reopened. As you may recall, Mr. Mayor, I did send off to committee the Board of Aldermen beginning to meet again in public, in person there at City Hall, or wherever, frankly, you know, we could meet. I know that Kim Peters had suggested at one time it would be possible to hold not necessarily Alderman meetings, but any kind of meetings down at the gymnasium. So maybe you can incorporate some of the Alderman wishes into your discussion tomorrow with your department heads, and see if we can get the Alderman chambers reopened and get this board meeting in person again. It wouldn't help me tonight, that's for sure, because I am traveling. However, I think that it's very important for the kind of business that we conduct to be able to meet in person and have those conversations in person, including any kind of presentations that might be available for the board to view or look at, which would be much better than on the online like this. So I hope that everything goes well with the meeting tomorrow with your commissioners, and hopefully we can get that building reopened. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman DePoy. Are there any other questions for the mayor? Alderman Garuso.
Yeah, again, I just echo Alderman DePoy's comment. As they say in baby steps, I commend the mayor, because I have been swamped lately with a lot going on at work, and I've gotten 2 calls from elderly people like myself who said they couldn't get through, and they wanted me to make some requests for them. And this would be very helpful, I think, to the community to be able to see someone. There were older people that don't have the internet and whatever. And I thank him for, like I said, even if it's baby steps and get a few people in there and get them protected and do it on the safe side, that would be wonderful. And I thank him for working on that. And that'll be nice for our public. And thanks a million, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Garuso. Alderman.
Thanks. I just wanted to also echo that. I think this board will do a lot better when we're tackling some of the bigger issues that are going to come before us if we can talk in person and have those conversations before and after the meeting, and do it as people trying to figure out how to navigate the things in front of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Torrey. Any additional questions for Mayor Lair? I am hearing and seeing none, so we'll move on to additions and deletions to the agenda. One item that has come to my attention is we have yet to approve the special minutes regarding CSG. So I'm wondering if I could get a motion to add those meeting minutes to unfinished business, and it should be in your email on August 27th from Henry. So you'll have a little bit of time to review that before we actually get to that point.
Second.
We have a motion. It's been seconded. Is there any discussion or debate on the issue? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor of adding the special meeting minutes to unfinished business, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. And again, that's in your email, August 27th from Henry. Are there any additional deletions to the agenda? Hearing and seeing none. So we are on to report letters from department officials. Up first, we have Treasurer Markowski. First up, loan documents for RF1-235 Digester Rehabilitation.
Hi, everybody. This is the third loan document for the projects in the sewer fund. These projects were voter approved March 2019, and we're just finalizing the loan document. So what I'm looking for is board approval and sign off for the sewer digester rehabilitation project. And the loan amount is $3,603,331.
Hey, Mary, could you repeat that number one more to verify?
Sure. $3,603,331.
Thank you.
I'm going to make a motion to, whatever she wants to authorize whoever to sign this just for debate.
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion and it has been seconded, which would authorize the loan documents for the sewer digester rehabilitation project in the amount of $3,603,331, and to authorize the board chair to execute the loan agreement for the sewer digester rehabilitation project on behalf of the full board. The motion was made and it was seconded for the purposes of the debate. Alderman Garuso.
Has this been through committee or anything? I mean, I just pumped this out of my computer like an hour or two ago. It's a pretty thick document for $3,603,000 and $3,331. That's a lot of money and a lot of paperwork for somebody to read and cook dinner and set up for this meeting. Has this been through committee, Paul, the DPW? Somebody? Does anyone know? Has anybody seen this before? Does anybody know about this?
Yeah, this is Mary. This was actually presented to the voters in March of 2019 for approval of this project. So this is just formalizing the document. The voters approved 3 projects in the sewer fund, and this is the third one. I believe at the last meeting we had reviewed the documents for the other 2 projects.
Okay, so this is coming out of a voted bond then?
Correct.
Okay. All right, I got you, Sharon, then. All right, well, thank you. It's on the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Garuso. Do we have any other questions for discussion or debate? I'm hearing and seeing none. So in that case, we have a board approval for loan documents for a sewer digester rehabilitation project, RF1-235, in $3,603,331, and to authorize the Board of Aldermen chair to execute the loan agreements for the sewer digester rehabilitation project on behalf of the full board, and that has been seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 I think we should go past her and then maybe she will show.
Motion carries. Thank you, Treasurer Markowski. And we have you up immediately again. Report for the city and RRA as of July 31st, 2020.
Okay, I present the July numbers really as informational because as we report on July, we continue to be making adjustments for year end. So some of those numbers will change. but I did want to get the report out because when you go through the expense budgets, you'll see that this is the first time you'll see the voter-approved budget for 21 in there. So I ask that as you're reviewing the reports, if you see something that looks out of line, please, you know, there's a lot of pages. If you notice something, please let me know on that. So you'll notice on the revenue side, you don't see the property tax revenue because we didn't generate that bill until August. So we still have a number of adjustments passing through. So, but the next meeting, I will have financial reports for August for you. That will be a little bit more complete picture of where we are 2 months into the year. So I just, but did want to report this to you. If anyone, does anyone have any questions on that financials? I'm happy to review.
Thank you, Treasurer Markowski. I'm not seeing any questions from the board on this.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Motion to receive and file.
I'll second.
Second.
We have a motion to receive and file, and it's been seconded. Is there any discussion or debate on this? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Treasurer Markowski.
Thank you.
All right, Attorney Bloomer, executive session. We will move to the end of the meeting, which brings us to Tarakali City-Owned Property Committee. Recommendation on sale of 68 Pine Street, and this was emailed to all of us. All right, I will turn it over to you.
Great, thank you. Hi, everyone. This is the latest recommendation out of the City-Owned Properties Committee. As the memo states, it's for 68 Pine Street. It's a small lot along Pine Street. It's just south of the senior living center that's there. The lot is empty. It was subject to a couple of fires over its history and has been vacant, as in no building on it, for the last few years. It was subject to tax sale and ended up in the city's hands, and through our program we've been attempting to market it and sell it to a responsible owner. We marketed it twice. The first time we got a couple of applications from people that were looking to keep it empty. One person wanted to do parking, another wanted to extend their yard. At that point in time, the committee felt like it was worth marketing it again to see if there was any other interest in it. The second time around, there was no interest in it. And this third time, we had one application. The applicant is someone who's already purchased a couple of properties through our program and owns another property in the city that he has completely rehabilitated. The two of these purchased prior from the city are in progress. After discussion, the committee came down on the side of recommending that the property be sold to Boniface Kadima Mazzella, the person who had submitted the application. There was certainly some discussion about the pluses and minuses of keeping the property as an open space versus allowing it to be built upon. And I would say that there was, voices on both sides of the arguments on there. But in the end, the committee decided that it was because of the time frame being a 5-year time frame, and because it would be a modest single-family house in this neighborhood, that on the whole that would be a plus for someone to take ownership of it, be responsible for maintaining it, paying taxes on it over the next 5 years as they eventually created a home that could be a nice home for somebody and increase ownership in that neighborhood. So that is the recommendation, and after you discuss and decide, I'm happy to answer any questions. But there is at the bottom of my memo the wording that is recommended if you choose to go ahead and make a motion.
Thank you, Tara.
Is there a memo in the packet?
I got it a little bit late to Henry, so I think it was sent to you separately.
Okay.
Alderman Garuso was sent separately. I'm trying to find the exact time.
Was that Friday?
I believe Friday, September 4th. All right, I'll ask the board, what's your pleasure with this property?
Mr. Chairman, I'll gladly move the motion if you could read it. I do not have that email.
All right.
Don't we have to suspend the rules? Point of order?
I'll move to suspend the rules.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to suspend the rules, and it has been seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Next person is
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. And if the board would so like to approve, the recommended language is a vote to authorize the sale of 6-8 Pine Street, and I'm sorry for mispronouncing the name, Boniface Dima Mazzella, for the purchase price of $3,250 pursuant to 6-2 of the Rutland City Charter, and further authorize the mayor to sign all sale-related documents.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? I'm hearing and seeing none. So all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Tara. All right, up next, we have Barbara Spaulding, RRA, request to set public hearing. This is pages 1 and 2 of the packet.
Good evening. I'm available if you have any questions with regard to setting this final public hearing, which is a requirement of VCDP to close out this grant. And this grant was to pay for the downtown strategic plan.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to set a public hearing in regards to the downtown strategic plan for October 5th, 2020 at 6:45 p.m.
Alderman, do we have to suspend the rules first?
I don't know that we need to suspend the rules to set a public hearing, but I'll suspend the rules. I'll move to suspend the rules.
I'll second.
We have a motion, it's been seconded to suspend the rules. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. And we had a motion to set the public hearing, and that was seconded. Is there any discussion or debate on this issue?
6:45.
And Alderwoman Davis, you did say 6:05 for the time.
Yes.
Hearing and seeing no hands or questions, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Barbara Spaulding, we have you up again. All right, request from Aldermen for reapplication resolution, VCDP grant application.
Yes, this application is in regard to the public hearing that was held earlier this evening. And the board is being asked to sign a resolution in support of the application. Elizabeth Koulis, I believe, is still on the line if you have any questions. And the resolution was provided in your packet, as well as the letter of support from the Regional Planning Commission. And we would just ask that you authorize the board chair to sign on behalf of the alderman.
I'll move to suspend the rules.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion on the rules, and it's been seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed?
Mr.
Motion
Chairman,
carries.
I'll move to authorize the chair to sign the Lincoln Place VCDP application
Second.
resolution.
I'm sorry.
No, that's right.
We have a motion and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion or debate on the issue? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, up next we have Engineer Rotundo. 2 water allocation requests. This is pages 6 through 21 of your packet. Mr. Rotundo, do we have you with us?
No, I don't believe he's on the line. No.
I'll move to suspend the rules.
Second.
We have a motion to suspend the rules, and it has been seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to recommend the approval of the requested water allocation increase of 384 gallons per day for the total of 585 gallons per day to Reynolds Contract Sales Incorporated, owners of the property located at 3092 Cold Road in the town of Rutland.
Second.
Second.
Symbols on them.
Is there any discussion or debate on the issue? Hearing seeing none, so I have a motion. It has been seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman, I'll recommend that the water allocation be approved on behalf of the Mission City Church. Well, is that the same? Is this these? I guess I'm going to clarify. I'm not sure if these are 2 separate because they're listed at the same address.
Right. It's the same place. It looks like the next one is the former John Deere place on Woodstock Avenue. That's the Rutland Housing Trust there.
Okay, so I'm not seeing that one. So somebody else might want to move.
Yeah, that's on page 21, I believe.
Okay.
14. Yeah.
Oh, my apologies.
Page 4, second recommended.
14 is the next one, Sharon.
Right. So it's if I may, I'll move to approve the water allocation increase of 1,530 gallons per day for a total of 1,680 gallons per day to Dave's Automotive, care of David Carlson, owner of the property located at 101 Woodstock Avenue in the town of Rutland.
Second.
We have a motion. It's been seconded. Is there any discussion or debate on the issue? Hearing seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
I graduated from
Aye.
high school in 2011.
Those opposed? Motion carries. All right, we are to Brennan Duffy, Director of the RRA, request for referral. This is pages 22 and 23 of your packet.
Thanks, Matt. So I'm just looking at the agenda and I'm noticing I actually had 2 memos that were placed in the packet on Thursday. I'm only seeing, I think, one of those on the agenda right now. So the request for referral was to discuss the Center Street Pilot Project Initiative and potential next steps. So maybe we can start with that, just seeking a referral to committee.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion. And, it has,
And that referral is to community development.
We have a motion that's been seconded to refer Center Street Pilot Project to the Community and Economic Development Committee. Is there any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks. So the second topic I had for the board tonight was a potential funding for a CARES Act grant for Brock Community Action, and I just want to confirm that the memo did make it into the packet for that.
I got one.
It did. Okay. Good.
Yeah, it's on page 23.
Okay. I also believe that Tom Donahue is on the phone with us. I just want to confirm that.
Yeah, I'm right here. You saved the best for last.
Okay. Thanks, Tom. So let me just give a quick synopsis, and I'll turn it over to Tom to give some more detail about the project. But basically, some additional CARES Act funding has been allocated to municipalities who could either apply for themselves or as a pass-through to a nonprofit to basically help COVID-related hardship going on in Vermont communities. So we had reached out to a number of nonprofits to see if there was an interest in applying for specific projects, and we ended up having a further discussion with Tom about a project that Brock has, which would basically increase their refrigeration and freezer capacity to help serve food insecure households. So I would, we basically vetted this at the RA level, and the RA was supportive of the project. We can apply for up to $25,000 through the grant program. There is no match required for this, and the applications are due on September 25th. So we would have to move fairly quickly as far as putting the application together if the city chooses to support this. So with that, I think I'll let Tom speak a little bit about the details of the project, if you would.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I'm not going to quote Kennedy. I'm going to quote myself and say that the foundation of a great community is only as strong as how we treat our most vulnerable. And I want to thank Brennan and Barb for being concerned about our most vulnerable in the community. We're seeing a lot of them at Brock Community Action right now, unfortunately, throughout this pandemic, and a lot of new faces because of job loss and other things that have created unusual situations for our residents right here in Rutland. The good news is we're there to help, and we're proud to do that every day with respect and dignity. And one of the things that we're doing, we want to take off the plate of people as a concern, is food for their families. So we've stepped up significantly the amount of food that we're providing for Rutland families so that when they're trying to stretch their budgets, one of those things as they stretch it and to pay electric bills and mortgages and rent and all those kinds of things you all know, that food isn't one of those things that they have to struggle with. That's one of the bottom lines. People should be able to feed their families. And right now we provide 15 meals, basically. We do 5 days of meals, 15 meals per visit, so that you have 3 meals a day for 5 days. And we're doing that we've done that throughout the entire summer for over 1,000 people, and in fact about over 1,400 a month, because we've seen about a 40% increase in the demand and the need. And that's okay. A lot of new folks, and we know why. But we want to gear up to do more, and we want to continue to make sure that throughout this pandemic period, which likely will go on for a year, that we're geared up to serve them with robust meals, which include frozen meals. And one of the things that's restricted us a little bit is that we don't have the freezer capacity and the cooler capacity to take all of the potentially donations coming from our very generous supermarkets and sometimes through the Vermont Food Bank that we're graced with having right here on Park Street in Rutland as a huge warehouse and distribution center that we go to weekly. And frankly, with the Farmers to Family program, which is wonderful, we're doing that every Tuesday, and we've been actually loaned one of the Thomas milk trucks thanks to Thomas Dairy, for loaning us the truck they call Murphy that doubles, besides giving out milk, it doubles as our cooler for the day, so that we're able to properly distribute this food that needs to be kept cold or frozen. Of course, all of our standards meet the safe serve, and everyone's well trained. In fact, we have a chef, Meg Hanna, who runs the food shelf for us. So we're really doing it right, but the capacity at Brock Community Action in the Brock Community Food Shelf is limited in that freezer capacity. We do have coolers, we do have freezers, but not of the magnitude of walk-ins. So with this opportunity that Brennan and Barb have brought to us to approach the Agency of Commerce with this special CARES Act funding, that we would like to see if we can expand on that with putting out an outside cooler and refrigerator combo. Now that would go just outside the building, but would have an entrance in the food shelf so we could walk in and out from the inside, given that snow's on its way. But that would expand our storage capacity significantly. We'd be able to take a lot more that was being made available to us and serve a lot more families with these products that we currently have some limitations on. The expectation of the program, it's a $25,000 grant. This will probably exceed that. We're looking at some other revenue sources that we can draw on that will put it all together. And we very may will be able to deal right here in Rutland. Met with Dan Merkel today from Steiger Supply. He's from right here in Rutland. Their facility, their restaurant supply, is right there on 25 Curtis Avenue. And Dan came over and helped us with sizing things up, measuring the size of the freezer and cooler. We're looking at about an 8 by 18 capacity for a cooler freezer combo, and be able to order that and have it installed by a local firm. So we're pretty happy about that opportunity with Steiger Supply if this grant pans out. No, there's no guarantees that the state will even approve this, but I do sincerely appreciate the Board of Aldermen and the Rutland Redevelopment Authority considering us for it, because we do want to step up to feed more as this pandemic drags on.
Thank you, Tom. Are there any questions of either Tom or Brennan from the board?
I'll move to suspend the rules.
Looks like Lisa might have had a question there.
Alderwoman Ryan?
Yeah, thanks, Brennan. I don't have a question, but just a comment that I will abstain from this vote due to my employment at Brock Community Action.
Thank you, Alderwoman Ryan. Alderwoman Davis moved to suspend the rule. Didn't hear a second, though.
Second.
All right. So we have a motion to suspend, and it has been seconded. All those in favor of suspending the rules, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries.
Great. So next on the agenda is a memo from Barbara asking that we set a required public hearing in order to meet the timeline for the application deadline on September 25th. So I guess that's a good segue to that. And again, I guess just having on record that the Board of Aldermen is supporting the project.
If I may, Mr. Chairman and Brennan, I moved to suspend the rules, but we didn't move to support the proposal. I'm assuming that you're looking for that motion?
Yes, that would be great. We'll have one more Board of Aldermen meeting, I believe, between now and the application deadline. But if you could support that tonight, if the board is so willing, that would be great.
Okay, so I'll move to support the Brock Community Action proposal for funding for the CARES Act up to $25,000.
Second.
We have a motion that has been seconded. Is there any discussion or debate on this issue? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed?
Sorry.
Motion carries.
And I'll move to set the public hearing for Thursday, September 17th. We have a time at 5:30, so I'm not sure if that's correct. It seems rather early.
I just put that in there as a placekeeper. Sharon, you can set it for whatever time works best for the board.
So I don't know, Mr. Chairman, if there's anything that evening prior to 6:45, or we can set it at 6:45.
It is not on your regularly scheduled Board of Aldermen meeting. This is a Thursday night meeting due to the fact that the application is due on September 25th. And we're not allowed to submit the application until 5 days after the public hearing has been held. So the September 21st date won't work, and that's why we are suggesting the September 17th evening meeting.
So that's another discussion, because that would require a special board meeting. So I will defer at this point.
Attorney Bloomer, can I ask you to weigh in on this one? We need to suspend to a date, obviously, 5 days prior to the application being submitted, but we don't have anything scheduled at this time for a full board meeting. What would be the appropriate course of action here?
Barbara, do you know, does the board have to be in attendance at the public hearing, or is it just an opportunity for the public to learn about the project and offer whatever comments they...
Yeah, traditionally, we have always done our public hearings prior to the Board of Aldermen, but that is not mandatory. The hearing is simply for the public to make comment on the project.
But do you happen to know if the board, there's a requirement that there's a quorum of the board there, or is it more for the public and whoever the sponsor of the project is that would have information?
There is not a requirement that the Board of Aldermen be present or have a quorum.
Okay. So I don't know if that helps a little bit, Chairman Whitcomb, as far as, I think just setting the hearing that, probably, Henry and Barbara and those folks will have to attend, but board members can attend if they're available, but there's not, I don't think there's a need to warn a special meeting through the regular open meeting laws. I think just by setting the public hearing through this vote that you'll have done what Barbara needs, unless Barbara jump in if that's not quite right.
That is my understanding as well. That is correct.
Thank you. Alderwoman Mattis?
Yeah, thank you. So there is no further action required from the board on this, then we don't need to make any other motions other than setting the hearing. Is that correct?
That is not correct. On September 21st, I will be bringing you a resolution and asking that you sign on behalf of the Board of Aldermen in support of the project.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll move that a public hearing occurs on September 17th at 5:30 in regards to the CDBG-CV Municipal Public Service Program, CARES Act, on behalf of the RRA.
Second.
We have a motion. It's been seconded. Is there any further discussion or debate on the issue? I am hearing and seeing none. Would all those in favor please indicate by saying aye?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. The hearing is set for 5:30 p.m. on Thursday, September 17th.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Brennan.
Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it.
All right, that takes care of reports and letters from department heads and officials. So we are on to reports of standing committees. We have Alderman DePoy, Recreation. This was mailed out to you about an hour before tonight's meeting.
Hi, thank you, Mr. President. This is in regards to the Halloween parade, Georgetti Arena updates, and some updates about St. Joe's and how we're going to proceed with the purchase of the gym, the bond issue, that sort of thing. And the rec committee met on August 26th at 5:30 via GoToMeeting here. Committee members were myself, Alderman Humphrey, Davis, Ryan, and Clifford. Other aldermen were Alderman Grusso, Ettore, Gillum, and Whitcomb. Others present from the city were Mayor Allaire, Superintendent Peters, Bob Peterson, and then we also had Don Chaffee, the president of the Rutland Kiwanis. Robert Congdon was in attendance from the Fair Association, and forgive me if I've missed anybody. My screen would only show a few, and I did review on video the entire meeting to also see if I missed anybody. So if I did miss anybody, just let me know and I'll add you to the minutes. So the rec committee met to gather information as to whether the Halloween parade could proceed as usual this year, or if there are some other options which we might be able to arrange with help from the fairgrounds or the Kiwanis or both, and any other interested people. Mayor Allaire and Superintendent Peters stated that there's no way the city can put on the traditional Halloween parade this year downtown. Robert Congdon of the Fair Association approached the city with an idea that people can go through the fairgrounds and see floats along the route inside the grounds. Cars would enter from the Park Street gate by the tracks and go through, finally exiting onto Coolidge Street and eventually out on South Main Street there at the Citgo station. A small candy bag could be given to the kids somewhere near, probably down near the exit of the fairgrounds. Alderman Garuso argued that he believed that the parade could go on as always downtown with some adjustments. Space it out further for social distancing and use common sense. Masks are not mandatory outside. Alderman Davis spoke in opposition to holding the parade downtown, feeling that this is a serious virus and it is too dangerous to put the public at risk with such an event. Alderman Ryan and Alderman Whitcomb also shared similar sentiments, believing it's too risky to hold the traditional parade in downtown Rutland. Don Chaffee spoke as the president of the Rutland Kiwanis. The Kiwanis and the community have lost the fishing derby and bike safety rodeo. Recently, the Kiwanis lost Norma Montaigne, who had worked feverishly on behalf of the community. Kiwanis has offered any kind of support to the city in order to have some kind of parade or celebration for Halloween. Kiwanis doesn't want the tradition broken. Whatever they can do to help will be done. Alderman Ettore had an idea that people around town could decorate their front lawns with Halloween-themed displays, and families can go around town and view them. No action was taken that night on the Halloween parade, and it will remain in committee. Next, Kim Peters let us know how the rec is planning on running the Georgetti complex this year. Programming will include curling, figure skating. Raha is trying to organize so that they can put on the hockey programs over there. And then they'll also have some open skates. The arena will open on November 1st. The revenue will most likely be down, so the rec department is going to be diligent with its spending. Brittany will adjust her hours to reduce seasonal needs, and she will be sanitizing as much as she can. Snowshoeing might also be a possibility over at Georgetti. The issue of Georgetti will stay in committee for further discussion. Finally, we talked about St. Joe's Gym and the strategy for the gym bond proposal. We need to get information out to the public as to why we as a city are seeking to purchase this facility. Mayor Allaire suggested that people from the school department and hospital might be willing to help out with word of mouth and sending positive messages out for the gym. Alderman Davis talked about this being a community center where people can go to get some exercise and other functions. As a taxpayer, people need to know what the benefits are of a place like St. Joe's Athletic Complex. This issue will remain in committee. The committee adjourned at 6:15 p.m. and this report is for FYI.
Thank you, Alderman DePoy. Are there any questions or comments for Alderman DePoy? I am hearing and seeing none. So we are moving on to reports of select committees, of which we have none. Reports of representatives, of which we have none. Petitions, letters, and miscellaneous communication, we have none. Board of Control Commissioners. So I'll entertain a motion to enter the Board of Control Commissioners.
So moved. Second.
A motion has been seconded to enter the Board of Control Commissioners. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? We are in the Board of Control Commissioners. First up, we have a second-class liquor request, 110 State Street. This is pages 26 through 30 of your packet.
I don't think I've done one of these in a while. Do we authorize the clerk to sign on behalf of the board, is it?
Second.
Thank you. That's it.
We have a motion to authorize the clerk to sign the liquor license on behalf of the board, and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion or debate on the issue? I am hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. We also have a second-class liquor request for Global Montello Group Corporation, 215 North Main Street. This was emailed to you.
Authorize the clerk to sign on behalf of the board.
Second.
We have a motion that has been seconded. Is there any discussion or debate on the issue? I am hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion
Question,
carries. Alderman Gillum.
is also tobacco clicked on that? Is that something the treasurer or the clerk does?
Yeah.
No. It's not.
It's not. Okay. That's all I need to know.
I'll move to go out of the Board of Control Commissioners.
Second.
A motion has been seconded to exit the Board of Control Commissioners. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We are out of the Board of Control Commissioners. So we are on to unfinished business. We have the CSJ special meeting minutes. Alderwoman Davis.
So, Mr. Chairman, the city clerk has requested just some clarity for bond counsel in our motion. So I would like to read that the Board of Aldermen authorizes the clerk to sign the bond resolution for the purchase of the College of St. Joseph's Gym and associated land and properties as approved at our August 19th, 2020 special Board of Aldermen meeting. And I so move.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion or debate on this issue? Alderman Garuso.
Wouldn't that be contingent upon the vote by the voters? I don't know. The election?
Well, it is, Sammy. It's just part of the, it's part of the clear.
You're gone, Sharon. We don't hear you.
My apologies. I thought I had clicked on it. It is. It's absolutely contingent upon the vote, but it's clarity for bond counsel as to the action the board took.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion or debate? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. We still do need to approve the minutes of that meeting, though, if anyone is willing to make that motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right. We have a motion that's been seconded for approval of the special board meeting minutes. Is there any discussion or debate on the issue? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Is there any other unfinished business to come before the board? I am hearing and seeing none, so we are on to miscellaneous motions, resolutions, and new business. Alderwoman Humphrey, you have something.
Thanks. I just wanted to make a mention that the board, the mayor, the police chief, and the police commission received a couple weeks ago a traffic stop study from Professor Seguino at UVM. And I reached out to the chief and to chairman of the commission, Sean Sargent, to see if they had any official response or interpretation. And I'm going to stop short of formally requesting that of the commission right now. Commissioner Sargent mentioned that it is a lot of data, and some of the data presented in the study is different than they may have used themselves if they were to do a similar study. So they would like significant time to review and respond to that. I had originally mentioned a time frame of a month or so, and they think it may take 2 or more months. So I will follow up with them on that again. And in the meantime, Commissioner Sargent did mention that they would really encourage and look forward to ongoing public participation at the commission meetings. And so if anyone has any questions or concerns, they're welcome to reach out to the commission. The names, numbers, and addresses are all listed on the city website. And the next commission meeting is Monday, this coming Monday, the 14th at 6 p.m. The login information should be warned on the city calendar just as ours is. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman Humphrey. Alderman DePoy, I saw your hand.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I would request of the board to send an issue off to I don't even know what committee. I'll let you assign it. But I would like to ask the city voters of the city of Rutland about the name change at Rutland High School, the mascot name change, and my proposed question to go on the ballot. And this would be for the March election, not November. We've already passed that deadline. So this would be for the March city election. And I quote, should Rutland High School's mascot, comma, and then in quotations, Raiders, end quotation, comma, be changed? Simple question. Should Rutland High School's mascot, Raiders, be changed? And I am asking that the board send that to committee, debate that, and that go to the full board to be placed on the ballot in March.
So I'll second for debate.
We have a motion to refer unnamed committee at this time. I would suggest perhaps general be attached to that. Yeah. And it's been seconded for debate by going to bed.
So I'm assuming, Alderman, that this is a request for a non-binding question to the public to refer public to be able to weigh in on whether or not they feel it can be changed.
Yes, this is a request to put on the ballot a non-binding question whether or not the city of Rutland voters believe that the name Raiders at Rutland High School needs to be changed. So the language that I proposed is what I read to you. I believe that we can put that in the minutes so that we have the exact, and the committee can work on that and come back with a proposal to the full board as to whether that is something that we want to take up and put on the ballot. I believe the city of Rutland would like to vote on this. I don't believe that this is an issue that should be decided solely by the Board of School Commissioners or by the Board of Aldermen or by any other board. I think that something as major as the change of the name of Rutland High School's mascot needs to go to the voters of the city of Rutland to be determined.
Alderwoman Humphrey, I saw your hand, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks. So this is not, well, this topic is not uninteresting to me. I'll say that. I do feel like, putting this, in a Board of Aldermen committee is an awkward place for this conversation to be held. I think this is a school board decision. I'm not familiar with the process that they're using to have this discussion right now. I do know that they're having a meeting right now, and I believe this was on the agenda tonight. Can't be in two places at once, but so the general committee was mentioned. I am the chair of that committee. I feel strongly enough that this doesn't belong with the Board of Aldermen that I would say that I would have, that the city attorney would have to call me to hold a meeting with this. I don't think it's appropriate. But again, I'll say I'm not disinterested in this topic. I just don't think it belongs here. Thanks.
Thank you, Alderman Humphrey. Alderman Davis.
So I disagree with Alderman Humphrey. It isn't a decision that the Board of Aldermen as an entity can change. It is, we all know that the schools have control over. But there are opportunities that I think sometimes get missed, to the public, an opportunity to weigh in. And I think most of you, I would assume, have seen that there's a lot of debate back and forth, pro and con. There was some kind of a petition that had been circulating to leave the name alone and change maybe the arrowhead or whatever. I think we all know that Raider means a lot of different things. We knew originally that that was a concept of a Native American. Through the years, I grew up here and I would watch the Rutland High School band march through downtown Rutland, and they would have a mascot. But there are also raiders that are soldiers and all kinds of things. So is it a name change that we need, or is it a symbolism change that needs to be done? But I do think it's appropriate, the voters, because there's been so much discussion, letters to the editor, petitions circulating, that I think it gives people in this community an opportunity to say yay or nay. It's non-binding. It doesn't prohibit the school board from making a decision, but it does encourage the school board to start reaching out to the public. Sometimes I think that they're a little separated from.
Thank you, Alderwoman Davis. Alderwoman Mattis.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that this issue doesn't belong at the Board of Aldermen. However, I'm going to go ahead and vote to send it to committee just because it's a discussion that's worth having. And even though I don't think that this is really the place for it, I'm not interested in shutting down discussion either. I mean, not that this would be shutting down discussion, but I'm open to discussion. So I am going to go ahead and vote yes, even though I really don't believe that it is up to the board. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Alderwoman Mattis. Alderman Clifford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I think it's a good idea to put it in the committee to discuss it, and see what comes out of it. And in the spirit of cooperation, with the school board, perhaps they can, get what they can out of it. But I think it'd be good information to have.
Sorry, guys, for some reason I got booted there for a minute, but I'm back.
Alderman Grusso.
I saw a text regarding that. I had no idea what the text meant until tonight. I don't see the Board of Aldermen dealing with it. I just see it going into committee to discuss putting it on the ballot. So it's a ballot item. It's not right, wrong, or whatever. I see it being an item that we're going to discuss to put it on the ballot, and that's it. So right, wrong, or indifferent, it's a ballot item. We've been dealing with those for years and years. So I don't think it's a wrong item, and I don't think it's a bad thing. Just let's put it in committee, and that's my vote. I'll vote for it in a minute.
Thank you, Alderman Grusso. Alderman Attari?
Thank you. So I am also of the mind that we should generally discuss everything, as a committee. I think we learn a lot from listening to each other. That being said, I do not think it is appropriate for us to be putting this question to the voters. That's not something we should. I believe it's a conversation that the school should probably engage the community in what's happening. I think that would make a lot of sense, a lot more sense. But putting something like this to the voter gives numbers to division. It creates division, it codifies division, and I don't think that's the way we want to go. I think we want to have a discussion as a community about what this symbol is and why it is a problem for the community. The question of whether or not it should change is what the community does in response to understanding and learning about what Raiders mean to people and what that feeling is and all of those other pieces. It's about the community learning and growing and deciding whether or not to keep it, not voting on it and giving some, I think that would create further division. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Attari. Alderwoman Ryan?
Thanks, President Whitcomb. Chris, I appreciate what you said, and I think, I agree with most of it in that we're talking about discussing a reason why this isn't appropriate, why this is being brought up, and the racism that is embedded within it. Yet, so we want to have that conversation. That's what folks are asking for. But we can't even warrant ourselves to have implicit bias training about this very type of thing, which absolutely blows my mind. You should be ashamed of yourselves.
Alderman DePaul.
Well, Mr. President, for one, I'm not ashamed of myself in any way, shape, or form, okay? That's number one. Number two, this discussion needs to be had by the community, and the best way to do that is through a vote. I don't believe it's going to divide this community at all, because I think the community is heavily, heavily opposed to changing the name of the Rutland Raiders. We can go into name calling and everything else if you'd like. That's fine by me. I just think it's absolutely ridiculous that we're going to go to that extent at this point. I am simply asking to put something on the ballot that asks the general public, should the name be changed? And if the general public votes in favor of it, then I would support changing the name. And if it doesn't, then I think that it should remain Raiders. Personally, when I go to cast my vote, if we are successful in putting this on the ballot, I will vote to keep the name Raiders. I think that that's what it should remain, period. And, that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman DePoy. Alderman Talbot.
I want to respond to the call for conversation about this issue and the need for it. The conversation's been going on. It's been going on in our community, on social media, in the opinion page of the Herald, and it's going on tonight at the school board meeting. The reason we have elected school commissioners is so that they can decide these things, and if the voters aren't happy, they can, elect someone else to the school commission. That's when the voters have their say.
Thank you, Alderman Talbot. Is there
question so I can get moving?
Okay. Alderman Grusso, I believe I heard you say to move the question.
Could we please, because I got a couple things I want to do here.
Well, we do have a call to move the question. Do we? I'm looking for a second to the calling of the question.
Yeah, I'll second that.
All right. So we have a motion to call the question. It's been seconded. All those in favor of calling the question, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed?
No. I wasn't done. I had one more thing to say.
Okay, so that, because it's not unanimous, we're going to have to initiate a roll call vote on whether or not to call the question. Before we start, Attorney Bloomer, what's the number needed to call the question? That's 2/3 vote.
If Henry goes really, really slow, I'll try to Google it.
Perfect. Henry, please call roll and go pretty slow.
So roll call on calling the question. Alderman Garuso.
Yes.
Alderwoman Humphrey.
Yes.
Alderwoman Ryan.
Yes.
Alderman Torres.
No.
Alderman Talbot.
Yes.
Alderwoman Mattis.
No.
Alderman Gillum.
Yes.
Alderman Clifford.
Yes.
Alderman DePoy.
No.
No. I'm not sure.
Alderwoman Davis.
Yes.
Alderwoman Davis.
Yes.
Thank you. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yes, 3 no. That's a majority right there as far as that goes.
So the calling of the question passes 7-3. Yes. A 2/3 vote was required to pass that. So now we are voting on whether or not to refer this subject to general committee. So there's no more discussion and debate. I'm gonna just go ahead and initiate a roll call on whether or not we refer to general committee, because I'm guessing it's going to be split. So I'll ask Clerk Heck to call roll.
Okay. Alderman Garuso.
Yes.
Alderwoman Humphrey.
No.
Alderwoman Ryan.
No.
Alderman Torres.
Yes.
Alderman Talbot.
No.
Alderwoman Mattis.
Yes.
Alderman Gillum.
Yes.
Alderman Clifford.
Yes.
Alderman DePoy.
Yes.
Alderwoman Ryan, or Alderwoman Davis, I'm sorry.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 yes, 3 no. Motion passes.
Next motion passes 7-3 to refer the issue or the ballot, potential non-binding ballot question to general committee.
Any other?
Is there any other miscellaneous motions, resolutions, or new business to come before the board? Alderwoman Humphrey.
Thank you, President Wickham. Silly question. Can you or the attorney please define for us call to question? We've used it a couple times in the recent past, and I believe I'm familiar with it. I just want to make sure that we all are on the same page. Thank you.
Attorney Bloomer, do you want to take a stab at it, or do you want me to say something and then you'll have to correct it?
Well, was the question what it means to call the question?
Yeah, does it simply mean we vote immediately? That's my understanding of it.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's to end the debate. It's a motion to end the debate, basically. So you'd still vote to make sure everybody wants to call the question, or 2/3 want to call it. And then after that, then the debate ends and you take the vote.
And it's a non-debatable motion, correct?
That's a good question. Right, calling the question is a non-debatable motion.
Alderman Garuso.
Yes, I was telling the mayor earlier that I had a couple of things, and because City Hall had been closed, these people had problems, and now maybe I can email in and whatever, but I want to share a couple of them with this board anyway, because one's kind of cute. First of all, there's a gentleman named Mr. Nickerson. I know he's a highly decorated serviceman in Vietnam. He's in his 80s, lives on Lincoln Avenue, and he said several years ago his grandson wanted to learn about maple syrup and sugaring, so he tapped the maple tree on his front lawn, and the next day a representative from the city of Rutland came in the yard and threatened to fine him $1,000 a day for putting buckets on the city tree, that it was on city property. So he immediately got the buckets down, only to learn that the tree was putting roots into his sewer pipe. And he said it's happened for 4 times, and he keeps calling City Hall, and nobody will take the tree down for him because he doesn't want to touch the tree. He's been told it's not his tree. So he said he can't get anywhere with City Hall. So I guess, I don't know what we could do as a board. I guess it's something I would have to do, call in for him, or maybe email Jeff Wenberg. I don't know if anybody has any suggestions what I do on that, but it's kind of funny, like I said, because he put buckets on it and got in big trouble for it. So one that may be our concern, gentleman called me from Lafayette Street. Now, I grew up a few streets over on Stratton. The city just paved Lafayette Street and they put curbing in, which is like really weird. There never was curbing that I'm ever aware of. And this gentleman's complaining that this curbing's like, a foot or 18 inches high. And now the people can't, like, when they come to their house, pull off onto their lawn. They can't drive onto their lawn. There's this like barrier that's been put up, and it's like, why did they do that? Now these people can't park in their own lawns. They can't get onto their own lawns, not to mention wasting the money in the concrete to build those. And I think we got somebody that's got a curb thing going on, because all of Killington Avenue's got them now, and they're popping up a lot in the city. And I'd like to refer that to DPW committee, because I really think Lafayette Street was a really crazy place to have put up concrete curbing, and especially, like I said, these people now can't get onto their lawn, and they got to be a foot high. So if we could refer to DPW and maybe ask them why they're putting up so much curbing in the city, and maybe I would think spend that into pavement. So if somebody supports that, Mr. DPW, if you support that, and
Certainly.
You'd second that for me?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. So we have a motion. I made it, and he seconded to put it in DPW.
So we have a motion to refer curb cuts to DPW committee, and it's seconded. Alderman DePoy, did you have a question?
Just really quickly, Alderman Garuso, the reason for a lot of the curbs going up, especially in that area, is for stormwater containment. That's what it has to do with, about runoff into Moonbrook. When I was the chair of the Public Works Committee 6 or 8 years ago, that's when it started. And the engineers were saying that the curbing, it helps to contain the water and prevent it, at least as much as possible, from going into Moonbrook, and therefore, causing the brook to be impaired.
Well, then thank you. That makes a lot of sense. I can especially see Killington Avenue, but we got to tell the guy up on, he's almost to the top of Lafayette Street, so that's kind of crazy up there. I don't know, maybe it's not, but thank you.
So
yeah, I mean, in committee they can further recommend that, or further, give you further details on it, and but it's certainly a discussion worth having.
Okay, thank you.
Alderwoman Davis, did you have something to say?
Well, I was just going to say to Alderman Garuso, I mean, I have no problem with it going to committee, but besides the issue of stormwater runoff, it was also traffic calming. It slowed people down. The road is not as wide. But most importantly, it was to prevent people from parking on their front lawns because it was an aesthetic issue, not just necessarily in Lafayette Street, but in other sections of the city as well. They do not want people parking on their front lawns or in a public right of way because it was happening in lots of sections of the city. So it's one reason is exactly that as a deterrent, Sam.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
Alderman Gillum.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Also, the reason is any space between the sidewalk and the curb belongs to the city of Rutland. So that would be parking on city property. So that's another reason why those curbs there. Boy, I wish I had those curbs in my neighborhood because we would love them because we would get rid of all those cars parking on the front lawns.
I've learned a lot here. Thank you.
Alderman Clifford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alderman Garuso, so we can have that meeting. I'll set it up. I think it'd probably be good for you and to get back to your constituent that asked you the question about it. So if I may, I'm going to ask that the Public Works Commissioner and the city engineer attend, if that's all right.
I would put it in with one of your regular meetings. I wouldn't, make a special one for that personally, but
okay, I'm just curious as to how soon you wanted it, but we'll get.
I'll talk to you later. I'll talk to you later about it. So, but thank you.
Alderman Torrey.
Thanks. I think we all heard all the answers, but I think it's a good time to send it to committee because we're going to be doing a lot of paving work over the next few years with that bond. And so there's going to be a lot more curb going in. And so it would be helpful to kind of keep the story going and the real reasons, get those out there to the public. So, more people know. Absolutely. We should make sure the community knows what's happening out there. Thank you.
Good idea. Very good idea.
Alderman Torrey. So we have a motion to refer, and it has been seconded, of curb cuts to DPW. Is there any other discussion on the issue? Hearing and
Not
seeing
curb
no.
cuts, curbing, Matt.
I'm sorry, what's that?
It's not curb cuts, it's just curbing.
Right.
So we have a referral of curbing to DPW. It has been debated and discussed. Is all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Is there any other miscellaneous motions, resolutions, or new business come before the board? Alderman Torrey.
Thank you. So we heard today from Brennan about the CARES Act funding for Brock. And I didn't know if this was something for the mayor or for Brennan. But there was a lot of money through the CARES Act, through federal, and then the state did programs. And I just want to make sure we're getting our share. So I don't know if that's just a question of what's out there in the community for this money. If anybody knows, who's getting some of this money, any of these projects. I just think we want to try to maximize the money from, the CARES funding, whether that's federal or state. And so perhaps it's a question for the mayor. I don't know. But I think it's important that, if there's money coming in grants or opportunities, whether it's us applying for it or organizations that are out there, how do we make sure that we're getting as much as we can into this community?
Thank you, Alderman Torrey. Any further miscellaneous motions, resolutions, or new business come before the board? If not, Attorney Bloomer, I believe you have an executive session for us.
Yes, let me pull up the motion. So the motion would be to find premature general public knowledge regarding the negotiation of a contract would clearly place the city at a substantial disadvantage because the discussion will divulge the board's stance on items to be negotiated and will include confidential attorney-client communications made for the purpose of providing professional legal services to the city.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion. It's been seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Attorney Bloomer?
And then a motion to enter into executive session with the inclusion of the mayor, recreation superintendent, treasurer, and city attorney to discuss the negotiation of contract as allowed under Title I, Section 313A1A and Title I, Section 313A1F.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion. It's been seconded. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. We'll see you all in executive session. It is the email that Matt Bloomer sent out earlier.